It could have been an eye roll or a frown or a look of disapproval.
So in your work with couples, what can we learn about them from their body language? I know bodies are always speaking and sometimes without anybody saying any words. So what does it tell you in your practice?
I'm so happy you asked that question, because I think this is an aspect that is usually overlooked for couples and sometimes also for therapists. I think we communicate with each other all the time in a non-verbal way, even when we don't say anything. And actually, in some way, our non-verbal communication is more powerful than our verbal one. And let me give you an example. If I look at you and I say something like, I love you, you don't trust that, because my body language gave a different message. So in my work with couples, I put a lot of emphasis on looking at them in their body language and the way that they interact with each other. Usually, I can actually say a lot about a couple and their relationship just from watching them and not even listening to what they say. Through their eye gaze, through the angle that they have with each other, through the gestures that they do and how they hold their body, we can actually know a lot about their relationship. And the thing about couples is that they actually do it with each other all the time, they just don't know that they do it. Because we're so attuned to our partner and they're so important to us, every signal that they give with their body language gets actually caught by us. The problem is though, a lot of the time we don't interpret that in the right way. So the body really gives a direct message usually, all the time, and it's much more simple and more direct than the mind.
I think one of the things couples don't understand is that we're acutely sensitive to those cues coming from the other person because we need them so much, we count on them, and that couples are actually becoming dangerous for each other. They're scaring each other. They're creating pain in each other just through things like raising their voice. So, you know, people come into my therapy sessions and say to their partner, "Do you love me?" Oh. Yeah. And you watch their partner go, you know, and they sort of get evasive. And then the person, as you said, the person gets upset. But it's like there's an urgency and desperation there, but it comes out as anger. And it's like that person becomes actually dangerous for their partner. So their partner doesn't turn and come closer, their partner moves away, right? So we're not always aware of the cues we give our partner. And I don't think we're aware of how sensitive our partner is to those cues, how sensitive we all are to criticism and rejection, or just somebody turning away from us, you know, sort of like dismissing us, not staying in that connection.
Another thing that I also see is sometimes that facial expression or the nonverbal has set off a negative interaction. And after reviewing things and what was said, sometimes people have to tune into that cue or that trigger. It could have been an eye roll or a frown or a look of disapproval. And then the couple is off and running in an argument and they don't know how to get out of that cycle. And sometimes if I can identify what triggered that, what set that off, what did that say to you when you saw that look on that partner's face, I can often help them get out of that particular argument.
I think sometimes that I focus on a little different aspect. I agree, we can really see those things in couples from the minute they walk in the door. But at the same time, there are openings as I'm talking with a couple where you see a softening or you see a look, and I will sometimes ask a person to pause and did you notice the way he looked at you, or did you notice the way she looked at you, or did you notice that there was a tear in his eye, to really emphasize those physical manifestations of emotional connection. The other part I do with couples is I like to find out if they flirt with each other. That's the positive side of the body language, because the studies are very clear. If you just go to the History Channel and watch on flirting at the bars, you can just see how couples, like, they look, they move, they get resonant, you know, they sort of bounce around with each other, they touch each other, they sit down together, they get up together, they put their arms around, and off they go. And I'm always curious when and how couples do that. And sometimes they do reach out to each other, and so that gives me opportunities to say, You know, how often does that happen? Do you flirt with each other? And sometimes look like, what? But it is really important, just those opportunities to reach out, let the other person know we care, whether it's through touch or words, because for some people, words do matter. So I think there's two sides to it.
So it sounds like in relationships, body language is incredibly important, but it also sounds like we don't always know what we're talking about. We're too busy mind reading, and when we mind read, we often assume too much. So if you want to understand your partner, ask the questions. Don't just assume you know what they're feeling.